In this video, we're going to go specifically over how to use and set up the repairs module for warranty-based repairs. So a lot of times we're doing warranty issues on products and we need to be able to replace parts, but we might want to need or might have to send those parts back to the manufacturer in order to get a reimbursement for those parts that we had to replace. So the first step that we'll want to do is make sure we have a specific location set up to put those parts in as we pull them off during the repair process so that they're not mixed in with our good inventory or sellable inventory. So the first thing I'm going to do is jump into our inventory module, jump into our configuration and locations. And I'm going to go ahead and create a new location. So the key here is we want it to be a physical location because we want to keep track of the inventory, but we really don't want it to be a sub of the warehouse because we don't necessarily want it being part of the warehouse calculations. So we're just going to pick the generic physical location as the parent, and then we would come up with a name. I'm going to call it just, let's see. Sometimes they call it quarantine or repairs. It's kind of up to you on what you guys want to call it. I'm going to go ahead and go with quarantine. So we'll just type in here quarantine. Okay. And then go ahead and save it. So that creates a special holding location that we can use to put all of our parts in that we need to send back to the manufacturer for warranty. Okay, so now that is configured. The next step is we're going to go ahead and create a new repair order, fix motherboard. Okay, and then we can come down here to the product to repair. We'll go ahead and pick a machine. It's actually a machine case, but whatever. We'll grab a product. We're going to pair one. We can specify our custom. This is for Adam, customer Adam. Fill out all your details as normal. The key is when we're dealing with the parts. So an add, obviously, is we're pulling a part out of inventory. And then what we can do is we're going to do a remove. So I'm going to come in here and I'm going to remove a part that we don't want that's bad on the machine. And instead of go to the destination is a scrap account, I want to go ahead and change that to my quarantine because I need to be able to keep that part to be able to send it back to the manufacturer. Okay, so go ahead and grab those parts, set everything else out, set your pricing, do everything you normally would do. It's a warranty, so that on this case, there's going to be no pricing. And you can technically leave it as no invoice, or you can just do an invoice after repair, and it would just be a $0 invoice to show that the repair was completed, and then you have an invoice that you could potentially provide the manufacturer if required. So I'm going to go ahead and confirm this repair. And I'm just going to go ahead and say, yeah, I know it's not in inventory, not a problem. I'm going to start my repair, end my repair, and then I can create my final invoice, let the customer know that it's ready to go, and more or less that's it from the repair side. I go ahead and confirm this final invoice, and we're not charging the customer. Okay, but as part of processing this repair order and using this quarantine location, if we go look at the product moves, you can see we moved this cutter into the this cutter into the quarantine location. So now we need to be able to return those parts back to the manufacturer and you can do that based on a batch or whatever you want to do. It's as simple as coming into your inventory module, and we can literally just come into our delivery orders, create a new delivery order, and we're going to change our source location to pull out of the quarantine instead. And we're going to select our rotary cutter to pull out of quarantine. And we're going to go ahead and create a delivery order and send this back to our, I don't know if we have a good vendor in here. Just select your delivery address of where to send that part to. Oops. And you forgot to set that first. Set your delivery address first because it will sometimes wipe out your source destination. So now I'm going to take all these parts, I'm going to validate it, which is going to send it back to the manufacturer. Okay, so now that's been sent to the manufacturer. We have auto email, so technically let the manufacturer know it's coming. And then the very, very last step is we're going to jump into the accounting module and go into our vendors, and we're going to come in here and do a refund, create a new one. We could select the same vendor. Of course, now I don't remember who I selected, but we select the same vendor, and we're going to select the same part and say we returned one of these parts, and confirm and create our vendor credit note. So now we've been able to go through, remove parts from the machine, send it back to the vendor, and create a credit note for that vendor to go ahead and give us credit against that warranty part. So that's more or less the process. If you're doing parts where the vendor doesn't really care to have the part back, you don't need to physically send it. You could technically skip that initial step of creating the second location and sending it. At that point, you're just going to come into your accounting module. You can come in here and just do a credit note. The only difference is if you're not actually sending the parts back, when you create your credit note and add a line, just skip the product and just put a label and say credit for warranty. Pick the account that you want it to go to. So you might have like a special warranty reimbursement account that you might want to select or whatever. So select the account you want it to go to, set your quantity, your price, and confirm your credit note. Oops, forgot to set our date. Confirm your credit note, and you're good to go. So the reason we don't select the actual individual products is because if we do select the products under the journal items, it's going to make our account interim account adjustments for tracking inventory. So if we're not physically sending anything back to the vendor, then we don't need to select the product. We don't want to select the product because we didn't actually ship anything. Nothing came out of inventory. So it cuts out that whole shipping side of things and the second location. And you can just do a generic credit for those type of returns and warranty reimbursements.